Yep. Good morning, everyone. So last session we discussed about how to use Angular data binding. We learned about how to use data binding. Data binding means accessing data from the UI, from the source and binding to UI. And again, accessing data from the UI and updating back. We learned two approaches. What is it? MVC and MVVM, two approaches. So that means we learned about one-way binding. Another we learned about two-way binding, how one-way and two-way binding works. So after understanding this one-way and two-way binding, now we need to know about another simple point. We have to know about Angular structural directives. Structural directives. Angular have structural directives. What are these structural directives and how to use them? Structural. Structural spelling. Right. We have Angular structural directives. Generally, structural directives are nothing but you can handle DOM manipulations using structural directives. You can handle DOM manipulations using structural directives. What are those DOM manipulations? Like adding element into DOM, removing element from DOM, and another important, updating data into element. All these things we can manage by using structural directives. Another, creating element. These all generally required in front-end applications. So structural directives are responsible for doing a lot of things. Actually, adding element into DOM, removing element from DOM, updating data into element, creating elements, all these type of tasks are done by structural directives. Generally, how JavaScript manages this? Actually, JavaScript manages DOM manipulations using lot of DOM methods. Can you tell me how to create a new element in JavaScript? How to create a new element like image, like table, like how to create a new element, right? To create a new element, what we have to do? Document.createElement. This is the method actually. We have to create an element. How to add element into page? You have methods called append, or we have method like append child. Like, so generally JavaScript requires a lot of DOM methods. By using those DOM methods, we have to manage adding elements, removing elements and all. But in Angular, what is advantage Angular? Angular can manage by using directives. It can manage by using directives. What are the directives we have? like ngIf. We have like ngSwitch, and we have ngFor. These are the three important directives. We have ngIf, ngSwitch, ngFor. That means by using these directives, we can easily manipulate the DOM without writing much logic. Without writing much logic, we can simply handle them. Actually, for example, I will tell you what is problem with JavaScript is. Suppose in JavaScript, we have some button. That means in JavaScript design. So like we have some button. And on button click, suppose we have an image. On button click, I want to hide this image in the page. Then generally what we have to do is, in order to do that, we have a lengthy process. What is that process is, we have to say function, we have to write a function. The function is on click na, on button click. On button click, how to hide the image. We have to access the image, document, get element by ID, by ID. It may be any ID for that element. Because it is an image, then what we have to do, we have to apply style. We have to write dot style dot display is equal to none. Like this we have to do. This is generally we do in JavaScript. In JavaScript, we have to write the logic in this way. Means we have to write an event. On that event, we have to hide it. Lot of work is there. But you can manage this in a simple way by using this structural directives. Very simple. Actually, what is ngIf? ngIf is nothing but it is used to add or remove element from DOM. Simply, it uses a Boolean value. It uses a Boolean value. That means, so if set to true, then it will add element. And if set to false, then it will remove element. That's very simple. So adding and removing element is a simple thing here. Just we have to use ngIf. For example, I have an image. I want to add this image to page. Then we have to use structural directive. And very important, every structural directive is written with asterisk. Structural directives are added with asterisk. Asterisk ngIf. Structural directives are defined by using asterisk. Some points I will tell you here. It uses a Boolean value, true or false. That's it. You don't need to write any logic, anything. Simply you can set it, true or false. So remember here, structural directives are defined by using asterisk. Another point is every element can have only one structural directive. That means, for example, you are writing a div. In that you are writing ngFor. Later we will learn it is one directive. In that you are writing again ngIf, right? Like this. This is invalid. That means in a element, you cannot have two structural directives. There can be only one. You can have only one structural directive. You cannot have two structural directives. Already, if there is a structural directive, you cannot use another inside that element. And structural directives are defined by using asterisk. It's very simple to handle. Let's see how it works. Let's start this. ngServe project is equal to shopping. Let's add one component also. I will add a new component, ngGenerate component if demo. Skip test. I am adding a new component called if demo. And we will keep this component in the startup. So let's go to app module. In app module, we have to keep if demo in the startup. And in index page, we are changing if demo. Here I am defining if demo. That's how we are configuring. So this is the simple option configured. Okay, done. Now we defined it. Next step, you see, once we start this, it is still compiling. First, we will design here. Let's go. It is still compiling. Yeah. Let's go to if demo. In that, we have a HTML. Here we will put a simple div, class container fluid. Here we are adding as if demo, and I kept an image. Where to keep the images already we learned. Images are kept in which folder? Assets. In the assets folder, open this assets folder in Explorer. Assets is the folder. We will copy some images into it. Suppose in my computer I have some images. I will copy those images. Yeah, some jacket, shoe, some images are there. I will copy these images and put them here. We have some images. I want to display the image here. So directly you can use the src. It is in assets some jacket.jpg. Width is 100. Height is also 100. Now the image is available. Compiled successful. Yeah. Now we will run this localhost. And if demo, that image is there. Observe carefully here, inspect. When I go to inspect, you see in div, this image element is available. That img is available. Generally, using JavaScript styles, we can hide it. But hiding is not good idea because when you hide, it is still present in the page, but it is not shown to you. That will not reduce any burden on page because the image is there in the page, but it is not shown to you. That means it is occupying some space. Better if you are not using, remove it. You remove it. That means I want to remove this image. Then what you can do is simple. We can add a directive ngIf and I will put false. As I told you, true is to add, false is to remove. And you can see that it is removed. And you can see in the list, you see after heading, there is no image. There is no image. Actually, if you do this in JavaScript, display none, it will be there, but it is not shown in the page. So we don't want like that. We can simply remove. And it's very simple. Just we have to use ngIf false. Again, if I set ngIf true, then you can see that it is going to display. Now, you can see it is added into the page. So what ngIf is doing? It is adding and removing. Adding and removing. And very important, if you want to manage this dynamically means you see here, I will add a container. I will put a checkbox. Input type is equal to checkbox. And here I will keep here as toggle preview. Toggle preview. And here I will put class form switch. Form switch is a new style for checkbox. That means actually checkbox will display like this now. It is how checkbox will display. But if I use form switch and if I put a class called form check input, then the checkbox will change to switch like this. It is new modern checkbox. Generally in Bootstrap we do it. I uploaded Bootstrap document into Classroom. Have you seen that? If you have learned it, very good. Otherwise, you can refer it. In that I given some Bootstrap classes and components how to design, right? Because that is very mandatory for web designing. So here, now the point is, this checkbox checked property will return true or false. That we want to assign to ngIf. We want to assign to ngIf. Then tell me how to collect the property of checkbox and apply to this image. Very simple. First, we learnt already how to collect the value from checkbox. Checkbox value, how to collect. We learned two approaches, MVC, MVVM. Currently, we will use MVVM. In MVVM approach, how to make it dynamic? First, we have to add ng model. Then it should have a name. Name is what? Some preview. Okay. And we need hash preview. Preview is equal to what? ng model. This makes it dynamic. Already we learnt now. Now I told you already that this preview contains lot of properties. It is a model object now. That model object contains what properties? Value, pristine, dirty, valid, invalid, like that. So many properties are present for model object. In order to access whether it is checked or not, we have to access its value now. Already we learnt now, preview is an object. Now what we will do here, we will remove this true. And here we will put preview dot value. Preview is referring to checkbox. Checkbox value is whether it is checked or not, true or false, that we are applying to this image. Then simply you can see here, it is not there. I turned on, it will be there. And I turn off, then it is not there. That's very simple. That means we can simply show and hide any content. It's not only image, anything. Any container, you keep anything inside a div, table, paragraphs, anything. Just you can control by using a simple ngIf. ngIf will take a Boolean value. You directly pass the Boolean value, or you assign Boolean value through a control. Through a control like checkbox, we can do it. That is basically how you want to display. For example, by default, if it is checked, am I right? If I given checked means by default it should be selected. But you see it is not checked. Why? Because actually checked is a property. Suppose it is using a value called true. You can see here it is not applying. Why it is not applying? Because you made it dynamic, na? Dynamic means these static values will not work anymore. You have to apply through MVC approach. This is currently MVVM approach. Here you cannot initialize anything into this. Just you have to configure, and you see later you will see when I turn on it will be there, and turn off it will be there. Remember, it is not showing and hiding. It is adding and removing. You can observe here in the inspect, and here you have elements. You see under this div, we have this div. So this div is having checkbox, and under the checkbox, that means under that div, you see turn on, an image will be added extra, and then I turn off, then image will be removed. It is not showing and hiding, it is adding and removing. That is a simple point of ngIf. So we can have a simple approach like this. So just what we have to do, we have to use ngIf. So here example is very simple. I will write here if demo dot component dot ts. There is nothing in ts, only in HTML. Directly in HTML, this is the logic. That is one logic. Now actually you have another important. This is simple. We can add and remove the options. We can configure that, right? Now another option is, if condition is matching, it should display one details. If not matching, it should display some other details. For example, I don't want this place empty. That means if user is not watching preview, something else must come there. You can't have empty. That means what we want. So when turn on, preview is coming. When turn off, something else should come. It is not just adding and removing. We want to change. On true, one set will come. On false, another set will come. Just like if and else. If and else. Here you are writing a simple if without any else. Here we can have else also. That means generally what ngIf can do is, ngIf can handle alternative blocks. Can handle alternative blocks by using then and else blocks. Can done by using then and else blocks. By using the then and else blocks, it is going to handle it. By using then and else block, it can manage. How actually it does is, syntactically, you can have ngIf. We have a container. We have ngIf. ngIf, it will use a Boolean value. Boolean value, it is true or false. Actually, this Boolean, after defining Boolean, we put a semicolon. And we have the option called like then. we use the keyword then, and we have to write then block. We have to use then block. So we can also write else, and we can write else block. Else block. We can define else block. That's how we define. Now the question is, where is this then block? Where is this else block? Then block means it is displayed when condition true. Else block means it is displayed when condition is false. Condition is false. But where are those blocks? We have to design them. How to design? If you want any block to be dynamically added and removed, we have to design by using ngTemplate. ngTemplate is a dynamic block. Remember, ngIf cannot control HTML element dynamically. That means with then and else, it cannot control HTML elements. That means you cannot have a div or you cannot have a span. You should have a dynamic container only. Dynamic containers are designed by using ngTemplate. ngTemplate, its IDs are defined as hash. Its reference is, this is then block, understood? That means it contains whatever information you want to display. ngTemplate. This is then block. Similarly, we have to design another block by using ngTemplate. This is which block? Else block. In the else block, we have to define the template you have to design. That means whatever you want inside else block. Here you can put any content. Remember, if the condition is true, then this then block will show. Not showing, that then block will add. What about else block? It is removed. If condition false, what will happen? Else block will add and then block will remove. So we can add and remove. Dynamically we can control this. Dynamically we can manage this. That is what actually the concept of this. So we suppose here we are using toggle. I will just give a simple option here. Toggle, I will write here. What is it? I will give the text as toggle preview and description. Understood? Toggle preview and description. Later I will create one good design. We will see that. But first, toggle preview and description. And see here. This is preview. I will put two containers now. I will design two containers now. That means here we have to use first a container div. Am I right? In this, we will write the condition. Below that, we have two templates, ngTemplate. This ngTemplate, I will give its ID as preview. Its ID is preview. Okay, in this we will put the image. Understood? We will put an image. Image is having just source. So one block which is having preview. We will create another block, ngTemplate. And here I will write another one. What is it? Here I will say description. Description, or I will say details. I will say details. And here I will write the details like data term, so name, data definition. In data definition, I say some winter jacket like this. And price, data definition, some price. And data term, so some details. We are using some rating. And data definition, so we have like span, class bi star fill like this, and text success. And here I given as rating as some 4.5 something. Now we have two containers, one preview container, another one details container. And you see currently no container is there. So here we will write a condition. What is it? ngIf. If we will get the value from where? Preview. Preview dot what? Value. So here what we will do, if condition is true, then we have to write a semicolon. We have to write then. We have to define then block. Then block is which block? Then block is preview block. Understood? We have to define the then block. So here I will use preview. I will use that preview. Then block is using preview. Okay. Because already preview is used in uppercase letter. I will use here preview. Okay. After that we have else. What is the else block? Else block is what? Details. That's how we define. That means what will happen? If the condition is true, it will get the preview block. If condition is false, it will get the details block. That means by default you can see details are there. Because it is not true now. That means now when I turn on this, then it will show the preview. And when I turn off, then it show the description. That means we can toggle the details and display. Right? How you display image, your wish. For example, I said 200 size. And how you display the image, that is your wish. So I will click on toggle, then it will display. So when condition true, one value. When condition false, another value. So you can simply toggle the display. Remember, it is not only checkbox. You can use various controls. You have to use your JavaScript knowledge. You can put a button. On button click, once click, show details. Another click, show preview. That's you can change. For example, I will show you. But for that, you need to use your JavaScript logical skills. Here, I will show you simple. Initially, this is how we can handle if with then and else. That means if condition is true, then block. If it is false, then else block. That means that is how we have to write the blocks. Remember, so we have to use here one more important note is you can handle if else then and else only on dynamic templates designed by using which one? ng template. You can do that by using ng template. That means what it will do? So true will add then block. Right? True will add, it adds then block. False, it adds else block. That is what it is going to do. The same example here. Example same if demo dot component dot html. We are not doing anything in TS file. Everything in the design. So this is the example. Means how we can display, how we can handle, and how we can configure. Right? This is an example of how to use ngIf. Now, another important is if there are more than one block. That means multiple blocks are there. If there are multiple blocks, then you know already that if there are many conditions, then we don't prefer using else if. Why? Because if you write else if, what will happen? Suppose you written 20 conditions by using else if, and it is matching with 18. Then it has to check all 18 conditions. To overcome that problem in logic, you have learnt switch now, right? If you write several else if statements, it have to check one by one and it have to come to the condition which is matching. If I don't want like that, if I want directly only the block that I want, then better you can go with switch. Here also we have like that. In UI, you can, if there are many things to display. Currently we are displaying preview details, but sometimes lot of categories will be there. Lot of categories like preview in one screen, general details in another screen, its features in another screen. Features means what are its abilities. Its features in another screen. Its rating in another screen. I want to show multiple screens. Then if ngIf cannot handle multiple conditions. ngIf cannot handle multiple conditions. Then what you can do? Instead of ngIf, you can use another option. What is it? ngSwitch. ngSwitch. What is advantage of ngSwitch? So actually ngIf cannot handle multiple conditions. It can handle only one condition. When condition true, one thing. Condition false, another. So what is ngSwitch? ngSwitch can handle multiple conditions. That means it can add any specific block from a given set of blocks. That is what actually ngSwitch ability. That means if there are multiple blocks, to toggle, understood? If there are multiple blocks to toggle, then use ngSwitch. You already know in your programming how you write ngSwitch. In JavaScript, you know how to write. What switch will have? Usually switch will have a condition, not condition actually. Switch will have a switch value. This value contains case, am I right? If case is matching, what to do? After that it will have a jump statement now, right? If case is not matching, then it have a default. Same logic here we have to handle. Here we have to use as like this. You have to define a container. In that this time ngSwitch is written like this. ngSwitch property. This switch is using a switch value. And usually in this you have to mention several containers now. These containers will have case. Case means we have to define with asterisk ngSwitchCase. If it is case 1, understood? If it is case 1, then this block will be rendered. If it is case 2, then second block will be rendered. If it is not matching with case 1 and case 2, then it will use ngSwitchDefault. ngSwitchDefault, it will execute automatically when these cases are not matching. When these cases are not matching, it will automatically display the default. It's a very simple one. You can have any number of cases, but you need to manage in this way. So if there are only one or two blocks, then you can go with if and if then. If there are many blocks, then you cannot use if. Then you have to go with switch. Let's see how switch can work, how switch can handle. Let's see one simple option here, how switch can handle. I will clean up all this. Just to give a good clarity to you, I will clean up all this. See here, I am adding a div, or I will say simply now. Class as margin top sum 3. In this, I am adding a button. This button is basic details. Okay. We have another button, preview. So we have another button that is description. And we have another button, some rating. Like this, we have so many. Now, for these buttons, I am just using the class BTN, some danger, something. Same class I will use for all. You can use different colors actually. I am using same here. It will display like this. Suppose if you want to show them like combined in a toolbar, like actually you can apply. This container is having all the buttons. You can apply a class called BTN toolbar. BTN toolbar, or you can simply say BTN group. It is simple actually. BTN group, it will put them in a group. Now it looks like all these buttons are combined in one. Right? You can actually add BTN group. You can say vertical. We can say vertical. It will be like this. So BTN group, so vertical. I am just adding button group vertical. It will be like this. We have basic details, we have preview, we have description, we have rating. Right? You can add like a group, or you can put some space between them. We can put different colors because all are different buttons. Suppose I can say this is so primary. I can say this is warning. And I can say this is success. And different colors will come. But usually in software web development, remember, generally in software web development, so we usually have to follow a formula. Web designing formula is there. That formula is we have to use 60, 30, and 10 color ratios. 60, 30, 10. This is the color ratio to be used for designing websites. If you don't follow these kind of formulas and rules, that is not a professional website. Professional website means, I told you that generally we can make money with websites. Just like how people make money with YouTube channels. If you have a website with good content and many people are subscribed and they are watching your website, then Google will pay money for you. Money for advertisements, for placing advertisements in your website. You can ask Google that I want to monetize my website. Then Google people will review. They will check your website. Their technicians will review your website. If your website is according to their terms and conditions, then they put their advertisements in your website. For that, they pay you money. People generally make money with their websites like this, monetizations, right? That means now Google have to certify. your website, and it will not certify if there are no standards followed. If you are not following standards, simply they reject. They will say that we are rejecting your website, you try again. You can try immediately again. There is no time span. Like try after a few days. Like you can immediately try again. They will tell you what is problem also. They will say that in your website you are doing like this, which is not as per our rules. So if you remove this, we can allow. That means if you don't follow the standards, a website may look okay, but you cannot use for many monetizations. This 60-30-10 rule is nothing but a website should not be colorful. So a website should be clean, 60% major color, 30% medium, 10% another color. Only 3 color combinations must be there in your content. What photos you keep doesn't matter. Photos and all different. About content in website, I will show you here. We will take a professional people like Netflix. When you see Netflix, this Netflix people are following that formula. Can you tell 60% which color is used? Can you tell 30% which color is used? Can you tell 10% which color is used? Officially that is done. Right? It's not like a holy festival. You put all colors on your face. Right? It's rubbish design. Right? It is very confusion. Right? So people should feel it very convenient, easy. It should not be high contrast. It should be simple in colors, effects. That's very important in web designs. Right? That is the reason we have to follow all these rules. In web designing, so many rules. For example, you see Amazon. There are certain standards we follow actually. You see here we have colors, combinations, various, right? And you will not see hundreds of colors used everywhere. Photos are exceptions. Everything will be light, white and yellow combinations. So all professional people have to follow those standards, right? So that is the reason you can currently while practicing you can do anything. But generally as per standards, uniformness, so stable colors, simple colors, not very bright contrasting, right? So as of now, just for difference I am adding it. Now see, right side I will do one thing. Right side I will put a main. Here I want to display those details. We will divide navigation and main into 2 columns. Then I will put the class as row. And here the class I can add as call3. Here I can add the class as call9, 3 and 9, right? That is CSS classes. It will divide. This is 3. And right side there will be another column actually. The main will come right side. Now here what I am doing, let's design containers. Let's create a div. Now in this div, let's create other divs. In that first div, I will say here basic details. Okay. In basic details, data list, DL. So what I am doing, data term, I will say name. Name is data definition, some Nike casuals, like this I define. Just roughly I am adding. Another data term, price, and data definition, some price. Okay, these are basic details. You see, we kept these basic details in a container, am I right? Okay, let's design another container, another div. In this, I will keep another heading. Here I will say preview. Preview means I will put an image. Image source comes from assets, some shoe.jpg, So width 200, height 200, I am giving like this. Now one more. Let's add another div. In this we will keep description. Description is nothing but a paragraph, something about some Nike casuals. You put some paragraph, something about Nike casuals. Means its features and abilities and all these things. Let's create another container. Here I will keep a heading as rating. So in rating I will keep a span class BI star fill and text success. And here I will just use as some 4.3 something. Now these are all options we are having. From how many people, some 4,000, like this I define. Just roughly we are adding some details like this. Now important, you can see all are present here. That means the basic details, the preview, everything is present here. I don't want all of them. I don't want all of them. I want only what user wants at the time. Adding all these is very heavy for page. Why you are showing all these if user wants to see only one at a time? That means now what we will do, we will write a simple logic now. See the main container. This is main container. Here we will use ngSwitch. ngSwitch. Into that we will pass as a string. The string is basic. That means currently which one is displayed? Basic. And this is the first case. Am I right? That means what we will do, we will use asterisk ngSwitchCase. ngSwitchCase. What is the case name? You have to write in a double quote in that single quote string, right? What is the case name? Basic. Okay. What is the second case? So same ngSwitchCase. What is the case name? This is preview. Okay. What is the third one? ngSwitchCase. SwitchCase. What is it? So this is description. Understood? Description. Okay. What is the third one? Fourth, next one. ngSwitchCase. ngSwitchCase. What is it? Rating. All these are there. Currently case is matching with which one? Basic. And you can see it is displaying only basic. It is displaying only basic. Now when user clicks on preview, the preview should come. When user clicks description, rating should come. That means we want to display only what user is selecting. That means we need to write actually now this must be changing now. That must be changing according to the button. Which button they clicked. Now you might have learned in JavaScript. You learned JavaScript events. If there are 4 buttons, that means if there are 4 or 5 buttons available in JavaScript, you know, if there are 4 buttons, for 4 buttons I need to manage 4 different functionalities. Then how many functions I have to write? You don't need to write 4 functions. You can write one function. You can write one function and you can make all these buttons use this function. But the question is, if all buttons are using this function, how this function can work differently for every button? What you can do is, you can collect the button details here. You can collect the button details. JavaScript events have event arguments. You learned JavaScript event have E as event argument and this as event argument. Actually, button related details you can send into function. Button details like what you can do, you can access button ID or you can access button name or you can access button value. Based on that, you can control. For example, see here. I will write a simple logic here. Go to the TS file now. In the TS file, I will declare a property. Public view name is a string type, and by default it is basic. Understood? View name is string type and it is basic. This view name we will apply to switch. Understood? We will not directly put there. Here we will put the view name here. Understood? Now view name is what? Basic. Which case is matching? Basic is matching. Then you can see it is working fine. The basic is working fine. Okay. That means now you are controlling. Now you are controlling from this view name. Okay. The view name is currently, what is the view name defined there? Yeah. Let's see the currently view name. The view name is basic. Now we will write here a function, a method called change view. Change view is expecting which button you click. This method will be called by all buttons. All buttons will use the same. That means simply what we do is here we have buttons, 4 buttons. On these buttons we will write click event. Events are written in parentheses. What is the event? Click. What is the method? Change view. Now into this change view, we need to send this button details. What we will do is for every button, we will put a name. For this name is basic. Understood? For second button, the name is preview. And for the third button, the name is description, and another one here the name is rating, right? Now what you can do is you can send this name into this method. How to send the name into that method? By using event arguments, we have to pass $event. Actually, in JavaScript, you have learnt JavaScript events. We have a button, am I right? On click is equal to which function? F1. Do you know JavaScript events have 2 arguments? One is this, another one is event. JavaScript events have 2 arguments. This is used to send information about button. Event is used to send information about on click, event related details. JavaScript have 2 arguments. In Angular, both are sent by $event. That means in Angular, you don't have this. In Angular, object related properties, event related properties, both are sent by using $event. Now what we have to do is, through this $event, we can access. Why it is showing error? Because the method is not expecting. Now we have to collect that event. You can give any name, formal name. That event is an object. Object means we have to use what type? Any. Now what we can do is, through this event, we can access the button name. You see button is having a name now. Button is having a name. We can access that name. How? We can access the name by using event dot target dot name. This is used to access the name. Object related any property you can access by using event target. Object related anything, ID, name, class, anything you can access. In JavaScript, we access by using this. Here we have to access everything by using $event. So this is nothing but button name. Where to apply this button name? this button name must be applied to this dot view name is equal to that. Understood? That means now what happens when user clicks this basic button, what will happen? It will send this name into this change view. It will send that name. What is the name? Basic. That name will be collected here by using target name, and it is applied to view name. That means now view name is used here now. Right? View name is used here. From here the value comes here. Understood? That means it is using this name here. Similarly, when user clicks preview, this name will come. When user clicks description, this will come. That means the same must be used by all buttons, copy and paste. All buttons must use the same event, same method. But this event is going to collect this name. Right? Preview button is going to collect the preview. Description is going to collect description. That means you see now, I click on preview, preview will come. I click on description, description will come. Rating, rating will come. That means we can change the details and display the details here. Right? We can switch between and we can display. How you want to display, your wish. You can display in any way, horizontal, vertical, anything. This is toggling the details and displaying the details. I just used actually button group vertical. We can use any appearance style you want, right? Your wish. Right? You can just define how you want it to look like. We can design like horizontal, vertical toolbars, anything we can do. Right? Usually this is simple how we can use ng. What is it? Switch. ng switch, but there is no default because there is no other than this. That means we have only these options, and there is no chance that user will select anything else. That is the reason there is no default written here. Default can be written if there can be anything else other than what they have written. For example, see here, I will put a div and here I will write what is it? ng switch default. In this ng switch default, I will put a heading saying that please select a view. Understood? And you will never see that because you are using any one of these. But see here, if I change this view name to suppose hello, there is no view by name hello, then what will happen? Automatically it will display this default. It will display the default, right? So that you can manage. So here you can see here, I will just give the view name and it will use according to that. Now, usually default can be used when you are trying with some drop downs or something else. We can use. That means same thing you can achieve by using a drop down. For example, you see here, I am writing, I am designing. So here in the nav bar, let me create a container. So in this container, I am just using a select. Select is nothing but drop down. In that we have an option, what we say, select view. We have an option select view. And for this I will give a class called form select. We have an option select view and I will just give as W100. W100 is width 100, right? It is having that width. And W100 I will give here. W100, class as W100. Depending on width, individually how it is displayed. Now here I will just add margin top as 3. So little down I am using. Now here you see select view and we have option. This option is having as basic. This option is having, this is basic details, basic details. Another option is having, what is it? Preview. Another option is having description. Another option is having. So this is rating. Now very important is when user is changing this view, those details must come. When user is changing the view, those details will come. Then in that case, this drop down also have to use, drop downs. For drop downs, what event we write? For drop downs, what event we write in JavaScript? Change. Drop downs use a change event. On change na? Change. We will call same. What is it? Change view. We will call the change view. Change view. And very important is into this change view, we have to pass the values now. We have to pass the value. That means drop down related value you have to pass. We can make it dynamic. Understood? How to make it dynamic? We have to use, so name. Name is what? So I will give name is what? Suppose view name. Understood? Or say view simply. And ng model. And hash, what is it? View is equal to ng model. Now what we will do is, we will pass that here into this. We will pass that into this. But actually buttons are using name and drop down is using a value. For that we have to write a separate logic. We will do one thing. We will write another event, another method here. Yeah, select view. Understood? Into that we have to pass, what is it? View dot value. View dot value means we have to send these values. And see, here the value is, no view. Because it is not a view name na. Okay, what is the value here? Value is basic. What is the value here? Preview. What is the value here? Description. And what is the value here? Rating. We have to define like this. Now we need to write this method. What is the method? Select view. Same. We will say public. What is it? Select view. Select view is expecting value na. It is what type? String type. We have to apply to this dot view name is equal to val, whatever the value we collected. Now this time it is coming from a drop down. It is coming from a drop down. We are displaying. I am selecting preview. I am selecting description. I am selecting rating. I am selecting basic details. And I am selecting what we want we can display here. And I am selecting first one. Then it will say please select a view. This time default is working. Default is not required when you are using buttons, because there we will say 4 buttons, they will click only those 4. Out of that they don't use anything. But when you are using such drop downs, you need this. That means you need the user to select which one they want. It can get that and display those details and show them here. And user is not selecting anything, automatically it will display this one. So this is the purpose of switch and ngIf. How to use switch and how to use ngIf. Actually this, if you have to do in JavaScript, lot of work. Lot of coding you have to do. For adding, removing from the DOM hierarchy. Very lengthy process. This we can structurally easily manage by simple approach. Design, anyway you have to design. Right? You cannot ask shortcuts for design. Right? Design you have to design. Manipulating the design, you don't need much logic. You have to use a simple approach. By using these structural directives, we can manage that, right? So we can define that. So this is an example. So what is that? Same in if demo only I am giving. That means this is example for switch. If demo dot component dot ts. In that I am using this logic. This is if demo, and if demo dot component dot html, and this is html. How we can switch between the contents? Actually, this is very commonly used. For example, you visit the websites. Suppose I will show you some HDFC bank. When you open this bank website, you see the bank website is having tabs, am I right? Like personal, NRI, SME, wholesale. When I click on this tab, you will see that content will display here. Understood? NRI related details. When I say SME related details, it will display those options. Now, like this tabs we can design. So under those tabs, we have to put the content. That means suppose I want to keep them like tabs. Generally, in order to keep them like tabs, usually what we do is we use an option. Here we use now tabs. We have a class called what? Now. We have now tabs like appearance we can give here. You see now tabs will come. But it is a different style of appearance because it is related to Bootstrap. Every now tabs usually they contain now item. Understood? That means we put a container, and in the container what we do is we write like class called now item. Understood? Now item. That means the now item will display like this. We don't use buttons. Actually, we use anchor like appearance. Understood? We don't use buttons. We use anchor like appearance. Then that will be like appearance. You change this one. BTN class is given. If I change that, then usually it will display like a link like this. So these are all done using Bootstrap. I will show you a clear design by deleting all this, so that you can understand. Means simple how they design such things. You put in now. Usually we have now called. So we have an unordered list. Unordered list have a list item. We have like basic details. We have a list item like preview. We have a list item like, we have a list item like description. Like this we have, right? Another list item like rating. Usually it looks like an ordinary one. But here I will put a heading as navigation. And you see generally for this unordered list, we use a class called now. And we use now tabs. And this is called as class now item. Now item. That means all these considered as what? Now items. All these considered as now items. Then they look like this. And inside the now item, actually this contains a link like, understood? And we use a class called now link. We use like now link. That means it will display like this. And observe carefully here. I will put the same here. That means preview also same. What is it? Preview. What is the class? Now link. And here also I will use anchor. So description class as now link. These are all Bootstrap things actually. And anchor and class as now link. Now link. And you can see they look like this. You see a tab like appearance will come. A tab like appearance will come. Actually, we can put here, so any item as active. We put active. That means the first item will be kept as active. We haven't written any functionality for that. We have to write. That means generally what people do, when user clicks on it, basic details will come. User clicks on this, preview will come. That website is designed like that. We used buttons. Different websites have different appearance. For that, you have to have good knowledge on Bootstrap and all. You can design like that. Right now what we do, the switches we write below. Understood? We write the switch below. The cases and all we write below. And user clicks on this, we can change the view and display the view. That depends on design. You just try what I showed you. If you have good knowledge of Bootstrap, you can try such things. Okay. Buttons are enough to handle and work with that. So you have learned two structural directives. ngIf, ngSwitch. What is the purpose? Adding and removing content from page. We have another ngFor iterations that we'll see tomorrow. And with ngFor, we can design a real world shopping cart like design that we will see in tomorrow's session. We will see one big example with combination of all these things, what we learned. Okay, tomorrow we'll continue. Right.